subscribe to my channel.
In the forgotten village of Amujiri, where hunger walks barefoot and dreams are buried under red dust, lives a young woman named Amanda, a girl treated worse than a slave in her own father's house. Her hands are bruised from hard labor. Her stomach is often empty. Her voice was barely heard. But her heart? Still beating, still hoping. One day, a mysterious stranger named Philip appeared in the village, dressed in tattered clothing and worn shoes, speaking softly, but hiding a deep secret. After 4 months of unpaid labor, Amanda's father offers her to the stranger, not in marriage, but as payment. And just like that, her life is traded like spare change. But what if that transaction was the beginning of something sacred? What if the man she was handed to was the one God had sent to heal her? What if love was disguised in broken clothes, and royalty hid behind humility? This is not just a love story. It's a story of redemption. Of rising from ashes. Of a woman discarded. Who became a queen? Beauty from Ashes, the story of Amanda and Philip.
In the dusty village of Amugiri, where red earth coated every footpath and the air hung heavy with silence, a young woman named Amanda knelt at the riverbank. Her hands scrubbed worn clothes against rough stones, but her mind drifted far away. The current rippled past her, uncaring of her pain. Her eyes, distant and reflective, carried the burden of years lived in sorrow. Inside the old, broken-down compound, the air smelled strongly of alcohol and anger. Amanda walked up to her father to tell him she hadn't eaten all day. But Mr. Alexander Okoro shouted at her in a drunken rage, slamming his hand down. "Amanda, get out of my sight!" he yelled. His wife Jessica sat in the corner with a mean smile on her face, clearly enjoying the moment. Amanda didn't say a word. She just nodded, turned around, and walked out into the hot afternoon sun. Amanda toiled alone in the fields, her hands rough from tilling the hard soil. Villagers surrounded her, whispering among themselves. They saw the bruises, they heard the shouting, but fear silenced them all. No one dared to challenge Alexander Okoro, so Amanda remained trapped, a prisoner in plain sight. At dawn, just as the first light broke across the sky, a quiet man entered the compound. He greeted Alexander with a calm tone and offered to work on his farm. They both agreed on a monthly allowance, shelter, and food. His name was Philip. From that moment, the winds in Amanda's life began to shift. Philip worked with unwavering determination. He fed goats, hoed the fields, and hauled yams with a strength that surprised everyone. Amanda also assisted him, unsure of his intentions, yet something about him seemed different. He never raised his voice, he never looked at her with contempt. Only kindness. When 4 months passed, Philip finally stood before Alexander. "I have worked faithfully," he said. "Can I receive what you promised me?" Alexander scoffed and waved a dismissive hand toward Amanda. "Take her," he said, as though she were a goat or a bag of yam. Amanda froze. Her heart sank, but Philip only nodded quietly. With trembling hands, Amanda packed her few belongings into a black nylon sack. At the door, little Emma clutched her skirt tightly, his eyes filled with tears. "Don't go," he whispered. Amanda knelt and hugged him, whispering back, "I'll come back for you, I promise." Then she walked out of the only home she'd ever known. The city was loud, chaotic, blinding with movement and color. Amanda clung to Philip's side, overwhelmed by the cars, buildings, and people rushing past. She felt small and invisible, yet strangely free. The chains of her past had loosened but not yet broken. They arrived at a partially built structure, a shell of a home. Philip spread a mat on the floor. "It's not much," he said, "but it's safe." Amanda sat silently, unsure of what was expected of her. But he didn't press. He just smiled and later began sweeping the dusty floor. Despite multiple job searches, Philip's luck hadn't turned in his favor yet. Weeks passed. One afternoon, Philip rushed in, his face lit with joy. "I got a job! As a gate man." Amanda's eyes widened. She jumped to her feet and threw her arms around him. That night, they ate plain rice on the mat. It was the happiest meal Amanda had eaten in years. Philip led Amanda into a tiny boys' quarters behind a mansion. It was modest, a single room and a small kitchenette. But to Amanda, it looked like a palace. "This is ours," Philip said with a proud grin. Amanda's smile bloomed slowly, like sunlight breaking through clouds. One morning, Amanda awoke to the smell of simmering stew. She tiptoed to the kitchen and found Philip humming as he stirred the pot. He turned, smiled, and said, "Good morning, Amanda." And for the first time in years, she felt what peace might feel like. Philip introduced Amanda to his boss, Madam Susan. The older woman opened the door with an elegant grace and a warm smile. "You must be Amanda," she said. Amanda curtsied, shy but respectful. Madam Susan nodded approvingly. "You're welcome here." During the conversation, Philip turned to Madam Susan. "This is Amanda, my wife." Amanda's eyes widened in surprise. He had never called her that before. She looked at him, stunned but deeply moved. A title once forced upon her now carried honor. That evening, Amanda sat beside Philip, her eyes fixed on the floor. "When my father gave me away, I thought you'd hurt me too." Philip took her hand. "I didn't bring you here to hurt you," he said softly. "I brought you here to love you." Amanda looked up at him. "I don't love you yet," she said, voice trembling. "But I love how you love me." Philip smiled, content with her honesty. Love, he knew, was growing, slowly, beautifully. One afternoon, Amanda laughed with Madam Susan in the kitchen. "My cook just quit," Susan said suddenly. "Would you like to try?" Amanda gasped, her eyes filled with tears. "Yes, Ma, I would love to." That night, Amanda danced barefoot across their small room. "I got the job," she squealed. Philip laughed, watching her spin like a child. In that moment, she looked truly free, for the first time in her life. As they lay beside each other that night, Amanda turned to Philip. "Why haven't you touched me?" He looked into her eyes. "Because I didn't bring you here to use you. I brought you to heal with you." Amanda rested her head on his chest, tears trailing down her cheek. "You're not like my father," she whispered. "You're different." One day, while cooking, Amanda heard footsteps behind her. A voice she hadn't heard before said, "Damn, you're beautiful." She turned to see a sharply dressed man watching her, a predatory smile on his lips. Behold it, Michael, Madam Susan's only son. He stepped closer. "Leave that poor gate man," he whispered. "I can give you a better life." Amanda froze, heart pounding, but her resolve held firm. Amanda squared her shoulders. "I won't trade my dignity for comfort," she said, her voice steady. "I know my worth now." That evening, Amanda told Philip what happened. His jaw clenched, but he kept his calm. "If he comes near you again, I'll protect you. Always." While Michael kept pestering Amanda in the kitchen, she went straight to Madam Susan and explained everything. Susan's face darkened. "That was my son," she said. "I'll handle it." But the next day, Susan called Amanda aside. "Amanda, consider him. My son can give you everything." Amanda was stunned. "I'm sorry, Ma. I love the man I have." Amanda came home to find a stack of cash on the table. "Where did this come from?" she asked. Philip smiled gently. "It's for your education." She shook her head. "Let's start a restaurant. I'll return to school later." Philip stared at her, speechless. This woman he had rescued now led the way. That night, while Amanda was still advising Philip, overcome with love, Philip pulled Amanda close and kissed her deeply. "You're one of a kind," he whispered against her forehead. A knock interrupted them. Madam Susan and Michael stood at the door, apologizing. After they left, Philip turned to Amanda. "There's something you should know." "I'm Madam Susan's first son," Philip said. "Michael is my younger brother. I disguised myself to find true love." Amanda gasped. "You're a prince?" Philip nodded. "I had to know that someone would love me for me." Amanda threw her arms around him. No more doubts, no more fear. They clung to each other, bound now by truth and trust. Philip and Amanda moved into a newly built mansion. No longer poor or forgotten, their love now stood tall, and so did their dreams. In front of the house, Philip handed Amanda a set of keys. "This is for you," he said. Her hands trembled as she took them, tears shining in her eyes. Amanda walked through the gates of the university, clutching her admission letter. Her head was high, her spirit unbreakable. Years later, Amanda stood in her graduation gown, hugging Philip tightly. They both beamed as cameras flashed. Her journey had come full circle. In their elegant living room, Amanda and Philip posed with their children, a boy and a girl. Joy lit their faces. Love bound them. They returned to Amugiri. Amanda stepped out of the car and handed out food and gifts. The same villagers who once watched in silence now bowed in admiration. As the sun set, Amanda stood on her balcony, gazing at the life she had built from nothing. Once discarded like trash, now a queen in her own right.
Subscribe to my channel.